They all had one of these next to the toilet.
This was Corey, and he was 2 weeks in Germany, and he shares with us his culture shocks.
These are my biggest culture shocks I experienced my 2 weeks in Germany as an American. So the first culture shock is, of course, when I got into the car, I kind of noticed all the cars kind of look the same. I guess in America, we're used to these big pickup trucks and big SUVs, and then we have the smaller cars too. But in Europe, all the cars seemed exactly the same. And then when we started driving, it kind of makes sense now because they're all smaller, because the roads are super, super tiny.
This is definitely true in Germany. People drive much smaller cars. You won't see as many trucks and big SUVs as you see here. And there are multiple reasons for that. First off, gas costs much more in Germany, 2 to 3 times the amount you pay in the US. Also, you pay car taxes, and the higher your capacity of your car, the more taxes you pay. So naturally, people tend to have smaller cars.
I almost think German drivers, I haven't looked up the stats, are safer than Americans.
I definitely agree on that. I think German drivers are much better drivers, and I just experienced my own son getting his driver license, and it was so easy and so cheap. It is so expensive in Germany to make your driver license, but it's also difficult. Not only the writing exam is super difficult in Germany, also the road test is crazy. I failed twice in Germany. One time I had to drive 60 minutes. My son had to drive now. His road test lasted maybe 15 minutes. He didn't even have to take lessons from a driver's school, which in Germany you do have to. You cannot just teach your own kid to drive. You need to take a certain amount of hours and pay for that, a lot of money, while we just taught our son ourselves to drive.
Germany, what I saw is the roads were not really straight. It was a lot of winding and turning, and they were much, much smaller. These towns are just hundreds and hundreds of years old, that they didn't anticipate that one day we're going to have cars. That's why the roads are so tiny. That's my theory anyways.
There are some cities, small towns in Germany that definitely have really, really small roads because they're so old. However, not all roads look like the roads he just showed us. Obviously, we have big cities too. I'm from Berlin, and you will have bigger streets than you have seen here in Germany as well.
I can't film people in public. This was a big shocker. I pulled out my camera and Little B's like, no, don't film these people. You're not supposed to do that. And I'm like, I can't film it. It's just the town center thing. It's really beautiful here. How can I film it if there's people here? I was like, they're not going to go away anytime soon. So I was really shocked that I'm not allowed to film in public. And we did do a few things like film in a store, and we were asked to leave.
Germans generally, I recently spoke about this in another video, they don't really like to be filmed, and you can't really film random people on the street.
Something actually really cool while I was trying to film in public is a ton of cars came by, and I asked my girlfriend Little B if I could film this, and she said yes, it's okay to film the cars, and they all were honking. I'm like, what's going on? And she's like, oh, it's a wedding. So they all go crazy and they start honking like crazy because it's wedding time. I'm like, okay, they're letting everybody know that this is a wedding. This is good to know.
This is really funny. I totally forgot about this old tradition. This is such a sweet memory. I think this is a cute tradition maybe we can do here in the US too.
So while we're driving around, I noticed gas stations that there's no credit card thing. You just swipe it. You actually fill up your tank first, and they trust you to go in and pay after you took all their gas.
Yeah, this is true. At the gas station, it is a little different in Germany. You literally put the gas in and then you go inside and pay for it. On the other hand, German tourists oftentimes have the problem that they can't do it as easily as we can because you have to type in your zip code to verify your credit card, and German tourists don't have a zip code, so it won't work.
I took my girlfriend to a very nice restaurant, and I try to pay at the end of the bill with my debit card. And she's like, no. So I pull out, okay, what about my Visa? no, we don't take Visa or MasterCard. And I was like, what? You don't take my credit card? What am I going to do here?
I do have to admit, I thought things have changed by now. I live here since 16 years. So I was messaging my friend in Berlin and I'm like, is this true? Can you not pay with a credit card in a restaurant? And she says, this is mostly true. Most restaurants still don't accept credit cards or a debit card and you have to pay cash. This surprised me myself so much because I'm so used to also pay everywhere with my credit card, and I guess I'm really Americanized now because I never have cash. I only carry around my credit card and I pay with that everywhere.
The people actually lived upstairs or next to the restaurant. It was all built in. All the buildings seemed to be very, very old, and people would just remodel the inside and turn it into a business.
I mean, I have to say I have never ever been in a restaurant in Germany where the owners live upstairs. I think Corey is in a really small town there. It is not a usual German thing. I mean, not in Berlin. In Berlin, nobody lives upstairs of the restaurant.
So the other thing that was a huge culture shock is the toilets in Germany. They call it Toilette.
Toilette.
Anyways, I don't know, it doesn't sound too fancy to me. But anyways, so the toilets all had one thing. They all had one of these next to the toilet. In Germany, this is standard practice in a public toilet. You have to clean your toilet. It's just common courtesy. That makes a lot of sense. All the toilets I went to seemed very, very clean. But here's the other thing. Not only are you supposed to clean your toilet after using it, you're also supposed to pay to use the toilet. 50 cents to $1 is kind of standard customary.
Yeah, this is always something that is very confusing for German tourists when they're in the US and they see there is no toilet brush, neither in hotels nor in restaurants, and they are always surprised and think we don't have these here in the US. There is so much water in American toilets that we don't need as often a toilet brush to clean up than in Germany, where there is really not as much water in the toilet. You need that brush to clean up. I've had situations in hotels in the US where I was thinking it would have been actually better if I would have had a toilet brush. It is very interesting that a toilet brush is not normal in the US, and in a hotel basically the cleaning lady has to take care of things, while in Germany we do it ourselves. Also, I much rather pay money for a clean toilet.
Here's a really big one. Nudity. Getting naked in Germany. I am very shy. I would be called conservative when it comes to getting naked. I don't want anybody to see me. I'm probably over the top, hyper self-conscious too. I don't even want my girlfriend to see me naked. So when I went to Germany and she's like, let's go to the sauna. And I'm like, the sauna, we have to get naked? And she's like, yeah, we're going to get naked in the sauna. And there's going to be a lot of other people there? Yeah, there's going to be a lot of other people there. And I'm like, okay, when in Rome, let's do it then. And they were waving towels and the heat was coming. People were like screaming, yeah. Okay, I'm exaggerating. They were going, ooh. I don't know. Germans make a different, unique sound, I think, than Americans.
Wait, we make a different sound? I would make ah.
And Germans seem that they're more liberal when it comes to nudity. In America, we're very conservative when it comes to nudity.
Yeah, I definitely agree on that. Germans don't have generally that big of an issue with nudity. Of course, we do also have people that are more shy. And I think there's a misconception of that everybody is just walking naked around in a sauna or something. You usually still have a towel where you cover everything. But overall, compared to the US, yes, Germans don't have a big issue with nudity. They also have a lot of hot springs, which I've been in the US, in Colorado, to hot springs, which was really nice too. But you don't do it naked here in Colorado. While in Germany, you can literally swim naked. If you never swim naked, you're missing out on something because the feeling is awesome. It feels so freeing and nice.
Germany is very, very expensive. Electricity here where I live in Florida is 7 to 8 cents a kilowatt. In Germany, it's over 30 to 32 cents a kilowatt, somewhere around that range. So it's right around 3-4 times more expensive.
Yes, this is very true. Electricity costs much more in Germany, and these prices are still about right.
Gas prices. So in Germany, it's about $6 a gallon. In Florida, it's about $2.34 a gallon. So Germany, it's about 2.5 times more expensive than in Florida.
Yes, and this is still true. And I just checked the prices, $7.60 for a gallon. So it is still true. Gas has always been 2 to 3 times cheaper in the US compared to Germany.
Little B, she has no air conditioning. And I was like, what? I can't live without air conditioning. I need air conditioning. I can't sleep without air conditioning.
They definitely don't have that long time where they need an AC, maybe a couple of weeks, so it makes not maybe sense to have an AC. But I hear more and more people want an AC, but it is still the minority.
I'm still shocked though that air conditioning is not normal in Germany. But even if it was normal, can you imagine what their prices would be though? I was thinking getting my electric bill would be So in America, we changed the drinking age to 21 and the smoking age to 21. In Germany, you can actually drink at 14 with your parents, or 16, you can drink beer. And at 18, you can drink the harder stuff.
Yes, this is true. Germans usually had already a beer in their body by the age of 16. And I'm really torn about this, when to allow alcohol, what is the right way to go here, because I feel like here in the US, this is really an issue. 21 is really late. Lots of kids, they're almost anxious to finally have their first drink, and then they completely overdo it and they're just drunk like crazy. You see that with those spring breakers. It's like they have never tried it, and so for them it's so special to finally drink. And 21 is really late in my opinion, but maybe 16 is early. It is hard. It's, as a parent myself, I don't know what is the right thing to do.
And you can start smoking at 18 in Germany. And this is definitely completely different than America, especially the smoking thing. And I noticed in Germany there was a lot of people that they seemed like they were smoking, and it seemed kind of normal to actually be smoking. And it seemed very, very normal to have a smoking booth on every little corner. And I was like, whoa, this is crazy too. So smoking is kind of a huge thing, I guess. I don't know.
Yeah, I agree, definitely. Many Germans smoke. It's disgusting. But here in the US, I rarely ever see anybody smoking. While in Germany, almost everybody I know smokes. These booths, I mean, how disgusting. That would be for me already a reason to quit smoking if I have to go in a booth like that. You stand inside there in your disgusting smoke. It's weird, but yes, smoking is a big thing in Germany. And I have more cultural differences over here. Auf Wiedersehen.